recording is live. We're out on the World Wide Web. We're internet people now. We're all famous. Say hi. It is Tuesday. It's Tuesday. It's the first free stream of the month, at least for myself anyway. So let's get rocking and rolling. So you can see I got two more positions here that are just kind of lingering. They're small positions, so I don't want to have any heavy allocations if it's from day-to-day stuff. So we'll just see where it goes. So let's go ahead and build out our watch list, and then I'll plot my ranges and all that good stuff, and we'll rock and roll from there. So I'm just clearing out yesterday's. I already got my number all calculated for the day for all my position sizes. It's going to be 5640. Hey, what's going on, MP? How's it going? So I can already tell, like this morning, we just got some pretty weak sauce, right? Nothing's over 100%. The volume is all pretty low. The ones that are in the runnings, a lot of these are sub-dollar, right? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these out of, 7 or 8 are sub-dollar stocks. So we got to be very careful with a day like today, okay? And if you're not confident, if you don't know how to manage risk and all that good stuff, days like today, you can just skip, right? It's better to just skip and maybe miss an opportunity than it is to risk it for the biscuit and then end up getting hurt. So I'm definitely going to add Fat N. This one, Fat BB and Fat are all kind of running together. Now, this one isn't necessarily tied to Fat, at least to my knowledge, but it does get some of that sympathy, which is pretty fun. It's interesting. So INLF, I'm not going to touch this one. It's just trash. It just got one little pop in volume. And then most of the run happened after market yesterday. So not going to be looking at that one. NPT, it's going to be sketchy until it gets volume. I'll add it, but if and only if, oh, hey, alarm clock. If and only if this one gets volume, does it have potential to run? But right now it doesn't. So it's just chilling at the bottom. SOAR, I do like this one. We've traded this one a bunch as well. The challenge here is it's sub-dollar, which means I can't trade this one if it's below $1 unless it's below 56 cents, because it is, I have to buy 100 shares minimum on Webull, which means that I'd have to spend $82, which I can't do. So I'm going to hold off on that one. TIRX, we love. Now it's cheap, it's trash. It's kind of a degen little pop and drop stock, but we'll trade it when it's there. And then if and only if it gets volume, can we trade it? But it's getting the setup that I like. So let's see what else we got. XTKG, this one's been on the list for a couple days. It's doing its thing. I'm just going to add it. I'm not going to trade it probably unless it gives me what I want. But it's worth having on the list. And then GXAI is one that I like for potential, right? It's in my price range. It's got a greater than 1-to-1 volume to market cap ratio, and it's just got potential, right? So again, days like today, you got to be super careful. HCAI, I'm not adding. So I think I'm good here. I think I've got my, I got 6 stocks here. So let me just plot some ranges real quick, and then I'll put these in the list, my channel here. All right, so come over here to pre-market. So Fat N, right? I see a very, very easy range right here. So I'm going to draw that one. And I see a range right here. So I'm going to draw that one. And then I see this guy right here. And I think that's about it. I don't want to go too crazy with this one. So let me just screenshot this and I'll slap it over into the alert channel here. All right. And then for TIRX, I think I'm just going to hold off on this one. I don't think I'm going to plot any levels on this one because I'm just going to be trading the volume. It's like a 12-cent stock as well. NPT as well. I'm not going to deal with that one. SOAR though, I will. I like this and I like this. And that's about it. I don't really see much else that I like on this one. So I'd like to see the price come down on this one. So I'll add that one. XTKG, obviously, we already have our levels plotted for this one. But let me go ahead and just draw these anyway. So this down here, I'm going to draw this whole range, basically. I don't know if you guys can see that. I'm using a couple candles here just because the volume is low. So I want to make sure that we get the full range locked in there. So let me go ahead and draw that. XTKG. And then the last one here is GXAI. Similar, I'm probably not going to draw the levels on this one. I like this right here. And I'm going to get rid of that. But that's about it. I don't really see anything else on this one. GXAI. All right. In addition, I'm watching, what did I say, TIRX and then NPT. Okay. All right, so I got all my levels drawn. I got plenty of time before market opens. I got all my allocation sizes picked out. I'm good to go. I don't think I'm going to trade any of these pre-market, regardless how tempting it might be to trade like GXAI into that zone or SOAR. Like SOAR is getting a little bit, or not, sorry, not SOAR. Which one is it? TIRX. You know, it's got plenty of juice. We're heading up into potential shakeout territory here, but I think I'd rather just see where it goes. I don't want to just jump into stuff, especially pre-market, and especially when we get kind of a crummy morning like this. So I think we'll just hang out. We'll just hang out and enjoy each other's company. We can look into each other's eyes. What's going on, Jun? Elizabeth, MP, Charlie, Unknown Aces, what's going on? Next Asian, how's it going? We're just hanging out right now. Did anybody here already burn through all their buying power for the day? Jun says, right now sitting on my hands to not trade pre-market. Yeah. And that's, I mean, obviously there's potential, right? But it's not worth it, you know? So it doesn't mean there's not going to be moves. It just means I don't want to participate if there are. Kenny Penny, what's going on, buddy? MP2389, my strategy is super simple and super stupid. Basically, I just look for moves where big moves happen from. So you see this displacement right here where the price just moves down violently? See that? This part right here? Boom, boom. Okay, that's an impulse. All I do is look at where the impulses started from. And then I look for some other criteria. But pretty much that's it. And then when the price revisits that zone, right, I also like to make sure that the price, that range is historically respected and has the same potential. And then when that area is revisited, I can look for opportunities off that level, up or down, right? And there's a couple ways that we can use these ranges, but that's the easiest explanation. That's kind of the elevator pitch for it. What time frame do I look at for those areas, or does it matter? It's all relative to the time frame, but I will say that you want a time frame that is clean. You have to be able to recognize the price action. Otherwise, you're not plotting effective ranges because you're just kind of winging it. You're filling in gaps if it's too crappy. All right, so it looks like TIRX is still wanting to push a little bit, which is awesome. You know, if I do end up trading something like this, it's going to be super quick. You know, I got my hotkeys set up over here. I've got a 6% take profit. I might bump that down today. It depends. On a morning like this, we almost always get two tickers that just get all the attention. They get all the volume. And that's kind of what I'm going to be looking for. I don't expect all these to get a bunch of volume, and I don't expect one of these to keep all the volume. I think that volume is going to kind of cluster and then bounce around from ticker to ticker. I think that one of these is going to halt pretty early. And we'll see. I mean, probably like if NPT gets volume, that one will easily halt. All right, so we'll see where TIRX wants to go. This one, I don't want this to be my #1 pick, but it's got the best potential. So we'll see how it goes. But this is also one that can very easily halt. And you can see it's got a 66.94 million free float and 83.82 outstanding shares. So the difference between those two numbers is the restricted shares, which is the amount that they could potentially dilute with if they wanted to. But I don't trust this run up into market open. So I got about 2.5 more minutes. I'm going to see where it goes. And I'm just going to let it do its thing. Now, my goal for the day, right? Let me pull up my small account tracker here and I'll show you guys. All right. So So my goal for the day is to make $3.83. Do I think I could do that? Probably. Is it a guarantee? No. But I feel like I could probably achieve that. It's a little bit easier to achieve than some other profits. So we got about a minute and 37 seconds now before market opens. So we're in the latter half of the auction cross, and we saw this big move. Now let's see if they give that back and then some, because that's usually what we want to look out for. We also have Fat N is dancing around a little bit. Now, with this strategy, right, we could have entered here. We could have entered down here on a break of these highs, and we'd still be in between right now. So now is not the time to enter this. It would have been out of this box. But the main point here is that we don't need this entire move from range to range. It's nice to have, but I want to lock most of my shares nice and low so I guarantee myself a net profit. And that's my goal. That's what I try to do every day. I just try to lock in the bulk of it. All right, we got about 40 seconds. I'm just kind of doing a quick little review here. So XTKG is in the box. Now, obviously, we don't want that falling all the way down, right? But that's a very real possibility. So I'm going to watch this one in the market open. And I'm also going to watch probably Fat N and TIRX. I'll probably look at Fat N first. TIRX looks like it's kind of, I want to see where that's going to go first. We got 20 seconds. So XTKG, ordinarily I might like grab one of these coming out of that in the open, but I don't trust the morning. So we're going to hold off on that. 8 seconds till market open. Hope everyone's prepared and safe. And again, just disclaimer time, don't copy me. Let me take the hits if hits are going to be taken, and focus on preserving that capital and just watch them learn. Take what works and use it for yourself if you like it. Otherwise, don't touch it. All right, so I think we could break out of this range there. There's good potential on this one. I'm going to get my button ready here for Fat N. Now, I'm looking for a break over this box. And let me just peek over here. I got to change this around as well. All right. So I like the order book. You can see it's trying to get over 324. That's the big wall there. I'm going to swap this around and take a look at TIRX. This one is definitely blasting, but I don't trust it. So I want to see a pullback on this one. Or at least a stronger setup here on the order book. So I don't like these bid walls because that has potential to pull this down. This is probably going to halt. And again, it's very easy to like get in and out of these, but I don't want to get stuck. Ooh, I like SOAR. That was a nice little buy up there. I think I might grab some of this if we can get this bid wall to go away. Well, actually, I can't on this one because it's still sub-dollar. Crap. That's okay. I like this one. GXAI. I think if it pops over this wick right here, I'll grab some. So a slightly different approach on this one, but it's the same end result. Okay, I'm grabbing my piece here, and I'm going to let that cook. We'll come back to it. Fat N looks like it might be coming down here to test that box. Let me just peek over at NPT. Did that halt? That's stupid. Ew, it's ugly. XTKG is pulling down pretty hard. Okay, so I think we're in okay shape here. Fuse, by the way, is blasting. That's one that I held from last night. So this one, I'm going to move my take profit down just because I don't want to be in it too much. I'm just going to move that down to 305. If I get filled, I get filled. If not, that's okay too. I'm just going to let that one go a little bit. GXAI is on both charts here. I want to pull up TIRX. All right, so the bid wall's gone on TIRX, but I got to see a pullback of some sort. It's too much price range. You're done with one trade on GXAI. Good stuff, Elizabeth. Just crushed it. Got your 1%. You're done. Love it. Love it. I love it. I'm being a little more fussy today. Normally, I'd be in and out with TIRX. All right, so it looks like Fuse. Oh, still modified. Sorry, I thought it said it was filled. This is interesting. I don't want to jump into this and have it halt. So we'll circle back to that. Fat N looks like it's still doing its thing. SOAR, and again, I can't trade this one until it gets over $1. GXA I'm in, NPT is trash. And then there's XTKG, which I can't touch until that comes down to this zone or breaks back up over that zone. So again, I'm being a little bit fussy today. I don't want to be a risky boy. So we're just going to hang out and follow the plan here. So TIRX just keeps blasting. So as tempting as it is, I still don't want to jump into this until I see a pullback. I see some pretty sizable wicks here. And I see a lot of move, and I don't want that to halt. And that's a guarantee. As soon as I jump in, that's what's going to happen. So we'll just give it some time. We'll give it some space. It's going to go live with its sister for a while, and we'll try not to call it because it needs to do some soul searching. All right, here we go. So fat end's down in the box, which is good. That means I can put my threshold in place. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to move that level down every time a new low forms. And then that'll be my entry threshold for this trade to the upside. So this is kind of far away, but it's okay, right? We can use that. We can work with it. So let's see where it goes. Got a nice little up and down here. The mosquito's in the vein right now. He's going down for some marrow. And when he flies away, we'll swat him. Delicious. I think I'm gonna keep this here, but I'm gonna keep an eye on GXAI here for a second trade if this one hits, because it may just keep going. I got about a minute left on Fat N. Looks like TIRX is pulling back pretty hard. I love that. That's what I like to see. Now this is still a 5 candle. You know, every one of these candles from here up to here has a higher low. So there's 5 or more in a series that has a higher low. So I have to wait till that breaks. So I got to see this candle break below this one or the next one below that one. Whatever's got to happen. No, not that one. What am I looking for? Fat N. That's what I'm looking for. All right, we got about 30 seconds left on this, and then I can move this threshold down. So you can see all these are kind of having some trouble here, and TIRX is the one that got all the volume, right? It got all the attention, and then it started to pull back because it's just sketchy. Right? So we got to be careful on days like this. All right, we got about 5 seconds left on this. I'm going to move this level down ahead of time because that's kind of where the new high is going to be anyway. So now I'm just going to look for a break over this candle. And then if I get that, I'll take my entry on FATN. If not, I'll get lower highs. Oh, there we go. Fuse just hit my target. Then I'll move my target and all that good stuff. I'll move my entry threshold down is what I'm trying to say with words. Words. So until that happens, I just keep moving the level down. And then when it breaks, I move, get into the trade. So if it just wants to keep going down, I just don't get in. And that fuse trade was very small. It only got me $1.26 on a $250 account, which is fine. You know, it's good enough for what it was, but it was like an $8 position. So nothing major. Or maybe it's like $20 or something. It was a pretty small position. Less than 10%. All right, so it looks like Fat N might be getting ready here. If we can get one of these wicks to turn into like if this candle here can turn bullish, I think we should see a good pop. But we'll see. There's definitely a lot of bid heaviness here, which is kind of what we see on days like this. We see them, they just set up for both directions. So I'm just going to see if that level here can pop over 302. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get in right here. Now this is a pretty wide profit range, so I might move this down as the price gets closer. I'm going to kind of see how it behaves. I see a level at 305, 315, and then 320, 323, 324 has some pretty more present walls. So we'll see, but I'm definitely going to be kind of keeping an eye on this profit range here. So far it's looking good. I don't mind holding it till profit. I just want to see where it goes, but I got to keep an eye on it. And for any of these trades, right, because of the way that we're entering them, because of the strategy and the setup, we don't have to deal with drawdown if we don't want to. Like this one here is down, I think like 4.5%. We could just put the stop loss right below the candle that we enter on if we want, or some higher low, whatever you want to use to justify just not letting the price go back down. And you can have a much better time with these. You don't have to let them go down, 3 to 5% or any of that stuff if you don't want to. All right, so it looks like this one's still got plenty of juice. I think I'm going to leave that target where it's at. It's right below the box. The only thing that I don't like is this up here. I don't like this little double wick situation there. But I do like the fact that we're stacked pretty heavy on the ask. I don't like that we got these two bigger walls on the bid and crappy volume in the market. So I got to be careful, but I think we're okay. It also looks like TIRX is just popping up again, and I'm okay missing that. I don't have a fear of missing that pullback. We did break our 5 candle, and when we got like a higher opportunity here, so normally what I would do is enter on the break of this high, but that's super sketchy, right? And this candle's 11%. I don't want that to halt. I think I'm just going to avoid this one altogether today. It has a lot of potential and it is moving, but I don't like what it's doing. I want to see a pullback to here, not here. So the shallow pullback basically just tells me not enough people are exiting, which means that they're all piling up here. And then when they do exit, it's going to be a cascade, and I don't want to be in that. I'd rather just hang out and get a better shot later on when things are a little bit more directional. And we'll see where they go. So for this one, I'm okay to add down here if I have to, but it should defend this zone. We'll see what happens, but looks like GXAI wants to pull up. And this one, I think, did I move my... No, I think I left the level where it was on this one. Yeah, 6%. So right now we're just kind of hanging out. How's everybody else's trading day going so far? It's also hot as hell in this office right now. I don't know what's going on. Actually, yes, I do. It's the rest of the house. All right. We're getting a little bit more juice here on GXAI, but it's been here before, right? It was up here earlier. So you don't want to let that bias creep in. I'm only going to be comfortable with this one once it hits target and I get filled. All right, fat end's doing a little bit of a heartbeat situation here. Let's see if we can get a high stall at the top of this candle. Ideally, it breaks to the upside, but it could just as easily break to the downside and then I catch the bounce. But it should be kind of doing like a heartbeat and a stall right in that box right there. So let me make that like a bright blue. Oh, it's working too well, Kenny. The furnace is... the problem is it's like... The upstairs was designed to have all the doors open and all the doors are closed. So all the heat is like staying in each of the rooms. So, and that just, it's a mess. And then of course downstairs is drafty because it's an older house and we haven't like fully weatherized it yet. So it's just constantly pumping heat, which is fine. I don't mind the heat, but it's annoying. All right. So right now we're kind of watching, I don't want to say paint dry because things are moving a little bit, but we're watching things start to make decisions, right? There's no clear direction in these trades just yet. You know, all the ones that I've picked, except for maybe ULY and INLF and LIMN, were all on the list. So it's just one of those mornings. NPT is just selling off. No point in having that one on the list anymore, really. SOAR is pulling down. This is nice, but again, I can't trade this till it gets over $1 or unless it gets down to 56. So I don't want to jump into that one just yet. XTKG just doesn't have volume. Otherwise, I might look at this one, but it's pretty sketchy. GXAI, I'm in, just waiting for that to clear over these wicks and just start pushing. Fat end's pulling down. This is the one over here. It's pulling down a little bit, but again, I'm okay to add more to this one if I have to. And then TIRX is just being insane. So I think once this one falls off for good, we start to get a pullback down to here. I think these will start to recover nicely. So for now, we'll just keep an eye on these two and just not jump around into 6 different tickers. This one right here would be beautiful if we could just get like a buy up, turn that into a wick, and then just have it pop. I'm also zoomed in super far, so it looks a lot worse than it is. It's really not that sketchy. I don't want to add anything to it yet. All right, so GXAI is still just kind of dealing with this wick right here. And because of the strength that it's approached that with, I'm going to move this up because I do like this right here. So I would have just got filled. But I do like what I'm seeing here on the order book. So I'm going to shoot for a $2 fill on this one. That's pretty aggressive, right? That's a risky strategy. And if you just want to get those fills at a nice low level, you can. I'm being a little bit more aggressive. So again, don't copy me. Because sometimes we do this and then the stock sells all the way down, you know? But I'm basing this on what I see here on the order book and what I see in the price action plus this volume here. And I'm just going to keep moving it up as it goes until I start to see something that I don't like. So there's a lot of rejection potential here in this box. So I'm going to move it just outside that box, actually. Probably like 206 would be good. And that, again, is based on right here. So 205, 206 is going to be my target. You guys see how heavy that ask is? That doesn't mean these are all buy orders or sell orders. It just means there's a lot of participation here. And I'm also selling all my shares. I'm not really scaling out. Normally, I'd sell like 75% right here at a nice low level and then let the remainder run. But I'm selling everything up here at 206 or wherever I decide to pull that down to. So we're just going to let this release. So it wants to push up into the $2 range, right? You can see there's so many walls here. So once that pops over 2, I think we should get a good clean jump to the upside. All right, we're approaching 2. That went up to what, 198? Ooh, this could be nice over here too. Now this is too close on fat end. I don't want to add any more to it here, but this would be a good area to watch for those second buys. The problem here is it's within like 5 or 6% of my average, so I don't want to add any more money in the same spot. All right, looks like we're approaching the $2 range. And usually when we break like a $2 level, we tend to shoot up to like 210, 212, but I'm just going to lock mine here at 206 if it wants to go up there. Now I've already made my target for the day as well. So I could just move this down and exit for the day if I wanted to. And if I was a new trader, that's what I would do just to get the risk off the table and move on. But that's not very good content. So we'll see what we get here, but it's good to also show you guys kind of what new traders might do that doesn't necessarily follow a plan, so you guys can kind of see more realistic stuff. It's delicious. All right, so we're still pushing into the $2 range. We got a 12K wall here at 201. So when that pops, we should, in theory, chain fill up to 210, 212. So that's going to be right here in that box. So that's kind of the land of milk and honey. Why not raise the stop loss? Stargazer, I'm not using a stop loss. That's why. So I use a mental stop. There we go. See how that worked, guys? I use a mental stop loss. So if I have to stop out, I will close the pending order, and then I'll just use my control hotkeys to sell the shares. But do you guys see how that worked? I made 666. That's not good. I promise I didn't make any deals with any sort of fallen angels. But does that make sense though? Like we broke the $2 level. We watched the order book to see where the chain fill could potentially fill up to. We placed a box and we sold before that. So that way we're not risking watching this happen to our money. Okay. And then over here, on fat N, we're kind of sitting here. So in this case, we've spent a little bit of time down here. I'm going to cancel the sell order here. I'm going to draw a line at 322. If this fails this right here, I'm just going to cut it because we've pushed through this transitory zone. We've attempted to push into it. We got rejected and now we're falling back down. So if we drop below the lowest point that it pushed through and managed to reach before pulling back up and attempting to break this box, I don't want to be in this trade anymore because that means it's continuation to the downside. So I'll let it ride until it gets below 282. And then if it should, in theory, pop back up. And then if it hits 322, I'll sell it. Otherwise, this will be my stop loss. So this is a case, Stargazer, where I would now put a stop loss in place because I no longer want to add to this position. And now we got a CGXAI because it wants to hold over 2. So there could be good continuation on this one as well. So let me just check something real fast. All right, cool. I still have like half my settled cash. What is that one? Yeah, okay. 116 would be 56. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to get ready here. So as soon as I see 261 come through, or sorry, 281, then I'm just going to exit. All right, so it's pulling up a little bit, so no exit on that one. All right. Ooh, that one almost got me. It's 282.1. I was looking for 281. So my eyes are focused right here on this column right here. As soon as that's a 1, I'm out. And I got control held down. I'm just going to press 3 when it's time. And that'll just close it all as a market sell. So I'm just laser focused. Boom, out. As soon as it happens. It's not a master. That was definitely a 2, sir. But hopefully you guys saw how quick that was. So my brain still had a little bit of a delay, right? It was still sticky. But I saw the 2.1 come, the 281 come through here. Where is it? Right, it was way down here. But I saw it come through, and I didn't have any like solid thoughts, but I still recognized that I was supposed to hit the button. So that's not something I want to have. So it tells me I need to practice that specific drill that I've been teaching the lifers a little bit more. But it wasn't purely instinctual when my brain saw this line get crossed or that number change shape. I didn't automatically push the button like I'm supposed to. So I still had a little bit of a stickiness to that one. So I might go ahead and grab some more GXAI here in a minute if it wants to get some more volume. Now, I don't like the even spread here, but I do like the weighting of the ask side. So I think if we can break over like 211, I might grab a piece. And of course, TIRX is just ripping for no reason. It's starting to pull back now. That's good, but it's stupid. All right, let's see what else we got real quick. XTKG is kind of okay. Like it's setting up, right? But we need a break of those highs. Same with SOAR, right? We need a break of the highs. We had one opportunity here. It would have probably stopped out right there. Maybe like right now, you'd be getting close to it either way, but no volume, right? So we can always pass on that one. And that's just dead in the water. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this here. Pretty high risk, but I'm going to grab it anyway because I like the volume profile on this one. Now this one has to get over 220. And then I've got sellers all the way up to 230s, 240s. So we should be okay if we take a profit at 228. So we'll see where this one goes. And again, on a day like this, I'm comfortable moving the take profits down if I have to. I don't trust the volume. I don't trust these, shakeout zones because they tend to lead to some pretty serious sell-offs. This one I'm comfortable adding more to if I have to. And I'm going to draw a range right here that formed after open. So we'll see if this one sells down, right? I've got a 17.77% range where I can let the price come down to and then add a second buy on the way up. So that means that if I want to do that, I would have to expose these 25 shares to 17 or 18% drawdown potentially before I add the second buy and bring that cost basis down. So I have to make that decision ahead of time and say, is it worth it? So in my case, yes, I'm comfortable enough doing that. But not everyone likes red, and it doesn't always come back. So you have to be prepared to take that risk. And if you're not, if you just don't want to see that and don't want to deal with it, you don't have to. That's the beautiful part about the market, is you don't ever have to take, more than a tiny loss if you don't want to. Also just realized I don't have my comments open for social media. There we go. All right. So we're coming down to retest the $2 level. Let's see if that holds or if it wants to sell down. And remember, I hit my goal for the day, right? I don't have to take any more trades. I am because I'm streaming and I'm teaching you guys stuff. But if I was just a new trader or just wanted to just get in and out, be done with the day like Elizabeth, Master, the Doctor, Jun, I would just be done. The market just goes back in a box. I set it down and I walk away for the day. I go live my life elsewhere. Bum, 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 bum. All right. And again, I'm just looking for a move up to 228. I'm not scaling out of these positions. And again, normally I would sell like 75% of my shares at like 2% and then let the rest scale. But I ain't doing that. Not today. No, sir. So how is your trading going, everybody? How was your Tuesday? This could be a nice little wick right here if that one wants to just turn into a bullish candle in the next 20 seconds. Then we see some nasty. And then I'm within the threshold for a halt, so I don't have to worry about that. But that'd be pretty nice to see. We got about 10 seconds left for that to happen. Not saying it's going to, but if it does, that would be the icing on the cake for a nice big move. And I like a nice big move just so I can get my piece. Oh, all right. So we didn't quite get it, but that's still a sizable wick. So I'd say as soon as the high of this candle is broken, we should get our run. Pretty easy. That doesn't mean jump in. It just means that that's what I'm looking for. Elizabeth says today the husband took a loss because he was in 2 trades at once, which he never does. So now he's down 4.89%. That could be a little bit tricky for sure, because then each trade kind of turns into a distraction for the other one. And that's okay. I would say all things considered, a 4.89% loss on a day where there's crappy market conditions and he had tried something he didn't do before, I would say that's still a pretty good loss in respect to how much that probably would have cost him a couple of months ago, right? So the fact that he's managing his risk that's awesome. Now we just got to figure out kind of where that drive to do something different came from. You about to drive by DC? You'll shout out the windows to Duck. I don't know if you want to put drive by and DC in the same sentence, buddy. I don't trust Discord. So instead, I just decided to say it out loud on all these streams that I'm, all these platforms. That made it better. Anyway, what's your license plate number? Asking for a friend. Tasty. Go check my hip. What do you got, a plate? No, you don't have a plate. You got a firearm? Master, I didn't take these, but just watching. Let's take a look. What do we got here? Oh, those are nice. Look at that. I like it. That's beautiful. And you got a nice clean 5 candle run into that. And then you got a nice little rejection, then a nice little rejection, then a rejection, then a rejection. That's good stuff, man. I like it. Nice, beautiful little 5 candles. That's awesome. Good to watch, right? You don't have to trade everything, but you watched it. Yes, I'm in GXAI. I got in at 216. So my my plan here is that I'm comfortable adding one more buy, but it's got to be coming out of this box here. So I'm going to look for certain criteria if this doesn't halt, because it might. Well, it's only 6%, but that's a 17% drawdown potential there, 17, 18%. So it's got to come down here, and then it's got to move back up. And I'll place my entry somewhere where I see a confirmation. If that happens, if it doesn't get down to this box, I'm just not going to add any more to it, because in theory, that means it'll just push back up. And then, of course, my target here is just going to be 228. So nice, clean 6% or something. Pretty close. But when I add that second buy, my average will push down to about, I'll be like 8% down at that point. And then it should be on the way back up at that point. So we'll be in a better spot. But again, that's if and only if certain criteria are met. I don't want to just jump in now because it's down, you know, some number and all I see is red. So I need to wait until I see some bullishness out of an area of high potential before I consider placing that second buy. And then if I do, then I will place my second buy, and then I'll have a stop loss in place just in case it keeps going down. So in that case, I'll end up taking a hit. But so far, I'm still like, this is down 12%, and I'm roughly around break even for the day. So it's not too traumatic here. I've realized 429 in profit to offset all that drawdown. Thoughts on pins for a short swing entry? What do you see on it? I mean, it's kind of been in this range here, like from here to there, right? It's just been doing that for a long time. So that's on the weekly. What do you? Let me just take a look back here. Let's see what we got. Kind of got this guy, and I got this guy. Don't really like that. Don't really like that or that. I do like that. Sketchy. All right, so that's that. Let's kick it down to the daily here. Oh, okay. Yeah, now for me personally, I'd wait for that at least a 5 candle to break. Right. So for today, I'd have to see a break over 2238. Right. And that would just be a bounce play at best. Now you are below pivots, which is, you know, potentially good if it wants to keep going. But in that case, I'd probably wait till it comes down to like below 20 myself. So below 20 with a confirmation, and then the alternative there would be above 2238 before that happens, and that would be about it. Just in my opinion. But again, you know, it doesn't matter what I say, right? You got to live your own life. All right. So this one's still hanging out. TIRX is bouncing. Again, I want to see it come down here. I don't really like these shallow pullbacks. And again, doesn't mean there's not potential, but I want to see it come down here because this is the area with the best potential for violence. Okay. Fat N, that's why we lock our profits, guys. Just we cut the loss on that one. And then I don't trust it here. So I'm not going to let these little candles here convince me otherwise. We don't have access to any information over here, right? I don't know if this is going to be up above $3 later or if it's going to be below $2 later. I just know that it's not in an area in a direction that makes me money, so I decided to cut it. So NPT, it looks like it's doing a little bit of a bounce here, but it's still trash. Like this one is just sketchy as hell. So I'm not touching that one. Had a pretty strong sell-off at open. It doesn't look like it, but these are both, 10+% candles, so pretty aggressive sell-off. on no volume basically, and it just kept halting. So sketchy. GXAI looks like it's pulling back up. Again, the only area where I'd look to buy is if it comes down to here and then pulls back up and I see a confirmation out of that box. That's the only time I'm going to add any more to this one. Otherwise, I'll just let it go. And if it wants to go higher, I've got my target. So that's the plan for that one. XTKG just didn't really go anywhere. You know, we did get our quick little, 6% on that one, but I didn't trade it. And I just didn't like the confirmation. There's no volume on this, so not touching it. SOAR, same thing. It's just kind of ping-ponging around a little bit. These levels are going to act like magnets when there's no volume. And that's kind of what we're seeing here. There's nothing really strong coming in and pushing the price away from these levels, and that's what we look for. But we just have two levels. They're very close together. This is outside my price range for this account because I'm using $56.40 per buy. And I'd need at least $70, $71 for this. And these levels are just kind of pulling the price. Nothing's really rejecting the price violently away. So this is not a good setup. So I'm just going to come back here and peek over at GXAI. Now, if we can get some strength coming out of this box, we just push this candle cleanly over this wick right here, like we just did. We should be pretty good for a push up into new high. So let me just peek over here. We got some good spacing here in the order book. So 210, 220, 235. All right. So we'll see if we can get a clean pop from 210 to 220. Sorry, let me catch up on the chat too. So you're saying there's a chance. Yeah. Done for the day. Puts on SPY in today. You made your $400 for the day, man. That's good stuff. Beautiful. That's Out of Office or Chris M. MP2389 says, if your account is $500, do you only use like 20% or something each day? No, I use pretty much the full amount every day. Most days I walk away with some settled cash because I don't use all my trades in most cases. Like right now, for example, I still have an extra trade sitting on the side, but I try to rotate my cash every day. So the way that I figure that out is I take the amount of settled cash that I have for the day and I divide it by 4 because I want to do 4 trades. So in this case, the amount was $56.40 because I had $225, I think it was, of settled cash because I had 2 open positions from the day before. Does that make sense? And then that it gets me 4 buys basically. So any one trade, if I want to, like if I like it, then I may add a second buy, but I call it out ahead of time. So I'm not just adding money to bad positions. And you guys see sometimes there's trades where I just don't add the second buy. I just take a loss or I just let it ride. All right, this one here is definitely getting set up. It's showing everything that I like so far as the price action, like how the candles are forming. So we got a nice little heartbeat right here. If this stalls right here at the top like it just did, and then it pops over, there we go. We should be good. So that would be a buy entry on this one. Now I'm already in, and I'm not telling you guys to buy anything. But that right there was a volume confirmation for an opportunity with tight risk. So in a case like that, I would buy here and I'd put my stop loss right underneath the same candle. Like right below, well, below $2, so $1.99. And that would be my risk range for that trade. And that would be it. It would just be a very, very tight trade with a very fixed take profit. And sometimes these stop out and that's okay. That's why we have the stop loss right there. But in most cases, that's all you need for a move out of these boxes. It's just a nice clean volume confirmation. And then it's up to circumstance, right? We don't control if it goes up or down after that, but that was a nice, clean little heartbeat there. And I'll show you guys what that looks like. I just get my drawing tool out here. Okay. Come on. There we go. My drawing tool takes a little while. So if we look at the candle, that's not the right tool. If we look at the candle here, as it's forming, we can look for something like this to happen, right? See how it's like fluctuating up and down like that? And what happens is when these get a little bit closer together like this, the range gets smaller, and then it pushes up and stagnates right into a level. like that, then that's when we can look for a break over that zone. And once we get that, we tend to get those big monster moves. So that's what I'm looking for when I'm watching these candles form. So this candle right here confirmed the first half of that. Now I'm just looking for the big pop. So we'll see if we get that big pop. Well, I think it was this candle. So yeah, let me move that over because I think it was this guy. Or no, it was this guy. I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was that guy. Matster, just waiting for my signals. Took this one. Ooh. Me likey, me likey. That is beautiful. Nice little 5 candle. And then just an absolute blast out of that box. Hell yeah, man. Good stuff. Oh, Mr. OG making SPY profits too. 154%. That's good stuff, man. Now your goal is to protect those. Did you, when you traded that, did you make your daily goal? So it can compound day after day after day? I also don't know if you guys can hear it, but my dog is losing its mind downstairs. Maybe she's trading gold or something. Just lost all her Bitcoin. So far this week, I've hit or exceeded my goal. Good stuff, man. Let me ask you a question. What keeps you trading, if that's the case, given that it's Tuesday? Matster, all done for the day. Much love, heading to work. Good stuff, man. Congrats on that profit. Walk away. Go live your life, man. The risk, is it an adrenaline thing, you think? You just like the gratification? Yeah. Now, do you get the same reward from embracing that risk and managing it? Or do you just want to be exposed to risk and feel the thrill? Like, do you feel accomplished when you stop out of a trade? Or do you feel bad? Because eventually that account's going to get bigger, right? It's going to get a lot bigger. So it's better to kind of sort out that psychology stuff down here where it counts for a lot less. It's those little things that we don't suspect, and then boom, there goes a 5-figure loss, right? Yeah, it doesn't feel good. I mean, the IRS is happy either way. You know, their kid's having a good Christmas. I want to make sure yours does too, you know? Or if you want to buy a pottery wheel and try to do something with ghosts, you can. You'll have that financial flexibility. I don't know what kind of ghost you got in your house. I don't know what your relationship is with them. But if you wanted to, you'd have the ability to. But not if you don't blow up your account. So, when I stop, I'm supposed to stop. I feel good too. Okay, good stop. So when you call it a day, then you're pretty confident in that decision. You walk away. That is good stuff. All right, so GXI is kind of making up its mind here. So it hasn't really left the box. We haven't really had good, strong volume just yet. So that means we need to go look at TIRX, see when that's likely to pull back. So again, when these little low float trash guys steal the volume for the day, then we tend to see that stagnation in the other stocks. So at this point, this guy's just kind of hogging all the glory. So let's see. They're going to try to push it over new high. They tried here and failed. So we'll see. And we just had an increasing volume candle right here. So let's see if that's enough. Let's see what else is going on too. JBDI is halted. That's good. That works in our favor because the volume that would be looking at this stock is now looking at other stocks. FATN, it's going nowhere. There's no volume. That's good. EDBL halted. That's good. INLF going nowhere. No volume. That's good. So it looks like, damn, that one halted too. This is garbage. So it looks like the only real competition we have here is TIRX. So at this point, we can take TIRX and put it side by side. And when this one starts to pull back, we should start to see our push in theory. So let's see if this one wants to pull down, and we'll see if we get our bounce out of this box here on this one. Well. Isn't that special? Because there's nowhere else for this volume to go. You know, they're not going to go to large caps all of a sudden. These algos are just going to look at the same tickers we are, and they're going to look for the same things we are. So this one needs to have a cascading failure in order for this one, in most cases, for this one to have a good, strong rally. So they might very well both pop at the same time, but this one is going to need volume, and we know it has to come from somewhere. So on a day like this, where there's a finite amount of volume and participation, we can watch it go from one to the other and then back, and it's just an ebb and flow. And especially when you got other tickers that are halted in the mix. I wish there was a way to have like a halted indicator, like a little icon over here that says halted. That'd be pretty cool. All right, so we're back to our 10-12. This is where we caught the price before. Remember when we popped up here, we caught it and then sent it back down right here from our first trade. So now this should act as an accelerator and continue pushing the price to the upside without too much friction. That's how it should work. So let's see if that's what actually happens as this one potentially sells off. So if I look at the order book here, you can see I got big walls here on the bid on TIRX. That's going to discourage a lot of these algos. And there's another pop over here, right out of that same zone, right? So now it's just a matter of whether or not it wants to continue. So if this one starts pushing up, then it gets sketchy. If this one sells down, we should be nice and good to go. So we just got to wait and see what happens. Mr. OG says, yes, I'm usually done by 10 CST and don't really touch anything, win or lose. Good stuff. So you just kind of trade when the volume is there, and then you just kind of get out when it's gone. That's good stuff. And again, I'm back over my 1.5% for the day, so I could just call it here, but I'm not gonna. But if this is a situation where you're kind of in and maybe you have to step away or something like that, this is a good opportunity to just do what you got to do and get out, in my opinion. But I'm not going to. I'm here. So I don't want anyone to not understand that they have choices they can make. MP says, I bought in at 203 and chickened out, sold at 209. It said 40% profit, though. I don't know how that's 40%. But I like that you got in. That should be a 3% profit because you had a 6-cent take profit on a $2 stock. That's that should be 3%. So congrats. Like that's exactly what I like to shoot for most days. Just a quick little in and out, 1 to 3%, and we're done. Because you don't want that risk to try to run all the way over. It's weird that it says 40% though. All right, so at this point, it's just a timing thing. We're waiting for TIRX to kind of fail. If it wants to fail, it may very well just keep going because it does have a lot of volume. But you can see this volume fell off. This volume kind of locked in, right? And that's what we want for this stock. We just want a good, clean surge in volume. Just pop the price up to 228. We get filled, and then we get the hell out. So we got some sizable candle here, and then we got 2 good, strong wicks here. Pretty big wicks to the upside as well. So it's not quite institutional level right here because they're normally 3 consecutive wicks. But I do like what we're seeing here so far. So this is kind of the Super Bowl moment out of this box. It's going to go up or down. If it goes up, that'd be ideal because then I could just get out of my trade. But if it goes down, again, I don't want to add until it comes down to like here or, much lower. So we'll see. I'm also kind of super zoomed in as well. So if I zoom out, you can see it's kind of in that range. So TIRX just broke the low, I think. Yeah, it just broke the low of this candle here. So that volume, this one could, in theory, sell off very drastically any moment. And then this one here could pop at any moment. And both these setups are here. You can see we got a giant wall here on the bid over here. And then over here, we got a series of symmetrical walls with the larger walls here on the ask. So there's a little pop to the downside there. Let's see if we get our pop to the upside here. Look at that. Isn't that special? Let me catch up on the chat here. MP says, okay, I'm still learning Robinhood. I'll try and take a screenshot next time so I can verify. Oh, that's 40. That's for the stock itself. That's a 40 to 50% move on the stock. So if you look up here, for example, the stock is up 73 cents for the day, which is a 50% or 51% move up on the stock itself, not your position. So that's all that means. And that number is here as well. It's in this column on Webull. Oh, there's a nice little buy up on that. So the algos are biting, right? They definitely want this to go up, and we're in it. I'm not going to add any more to this position. That's normally an indication where I'd just add another piece and then sell it pretty close. Like right here, I'd probably sell that just to get that position size back down. But I like where we're at right now. And I think we got a pretty good chance for a chain fill up into like 230. But my take profit is 228. So I don't want to fight with it into 230, 235, any of that stuff. I just want to get my profit and get out. And it's got to go up for that to happen. So you can see this one's starting to push back up again. And now we're starting to get some red. So if this can stay bullish and this can still push up, that means that the algos are definitely locked in. And then it becomes much more high confidence. Because these two should not be pushing up at the same time. They're competing for volume and participation. So when one goes up, the other one should go down and vice versa. I also think TIRX is probably on its last legs because the volume is starting to decay a little bit. So, well, that's cooking. Let me come over here and look at FAD on here. Looks like it's current a little bit. I still, like, we don't have information up here, down here, over here. So I'm not going to like second guess my decision. But I'm definitely not trading this one again. Not today. All right. So what else was there? There was NPT is just being weird. XTKG did pop out of the box again. Right. We had 1, 2, 3 opportunities on this one. I'm not trading it. So there's no entry on this one, but that one you can very easily see we could have had some quick profits on. SOAR is just bouncing around still. Again, no volume. So these are just kind of pulling the price. It's like two planets getting closer together. It's just going to pull people up and and then drop them. That's all it is. All right. So I'm really just looking for a pretty massive sell-off here, like a lightning strike sell-off down to below this level on TIRX. I want them to know that the volume is done for the day. Well, that's the kind of move I'd like to see. So right now we're kind of in limbo. It's just hanging out. And again, I'm still right around my 1.5% for the day. So I could just walk away if I want to. And again, just as a reminder, if you're a new trader, if you don't want to deal with drawdown and things like that, and you're in a position like that where your daily goal is met, you can always just cut it right then and there and just walk away for the day. Because the goal is to trade less. It's not to stay in front of charts as long as you can and use all your dollars. So I do that because I'm live streaming and I want to show you guys stuff from start to finish. But if I'm just trading on my own, like Wednesdays, for example, I don't stream. I usually just do a full port into one trade and lock it at like 2 to 3, maybe 5%, and I'm just done. I'm usually done within like a couple of minutes. Not could, but should step away when goal is met. Absolutely, Chag. That's the whole point, right? So if my goal as a new trader is to use something like this, where it just compounds over and over and over again. And I find myself, hitting my goal consistently and then giving it back, because I just can't walk away, then that is something that we need to talk to ourselves in the mirror about and just have the conversation. And then a lot of times we just don't recognize that we're doing it. I definitely do it, but it's because I'm streaming and I kind of have to because nobody wants a 3-minute live stream, right? Because then if you can't make it on that 3-minute live stream, who are you going to hate? You're going to get mad at Pookie, right? Making phone calls to me. Still trying to annex Canada. I could dig it. You heard it here first. Pookie said to full port. I mean, I can't stop you, but if you're gonna, I guess you manage your own risk. All right, so we're getting a little bit of a pop here so far. Again, not going to care about it until it locks in my take profit, but it is nice to see that we are pushing up in the direction that makes us money, which is good. We're above 2.5%, 3%. So if you wanted a more conservative target, that would be it. And again, you could just get in and out and be done with it. We are seeing 225 wall get chewed. We have 230 wall, 235. So I'm pretty confident in just getting filled 2 cents below that 230 wall, if and only if it wants to go up to the 230 wall. So we'll see if it wants to pull back or do anything crazy. You can see here that TIRX is starting to show some character here, but I don't know if that's going to be enough at this point. There's a lot of volume on this. So come on up. So it's interesting. I don't really see the order book moving, but I see that the time in sales is flooding, which is good. That means there's a lot of algo participation that isn't using limit orders, which means that they're just trying to get their fill. So they're kind of chasing it to get their liquidity, which is good. I mean, that just means that they're getting in for the big pop in most cases. So we should be pretty good. Seeing that is another kind of reinforcement factor. Now they could also dump, so it is what it is. But I should still live stream exactly at market open. I do. Monday, Tuesday, Friday. Lee and Bull are trading on Wednesday mornings, and then Lee trades on Thursday mornings. But I always try to stream at 9:15 a.m. Eastern all the way through to like 10:30, 11 o'clock every morning. Well, every Monday, Tuesday, Friday. Not every morning. Monday and Friday are in premium, though. So, and actually, this isn't I'm not going to do a gimmicky sales pitch or anything because I'm not a sales guy. But if you are interested, let me just put this in there. 50% off. Okay. So there's the link for premium if anyone is interested. And we took away the free trial because we realized that was just too fast. Like 5 days isn't really enough. So what we did instead is we put a 50% off discount on the first month of premium. So anyone who wants to see premium, there we go, we got filled. Anyone who wants to see what's in premium has the full month to do it at a much lower cost. So not quite as fun as a free trial, but you get the whole month at least, and you get access to all the coaches and all that good stuff. So it's there if you are interested. If not, that's okay. My goal is to help you make enough with your free to get into a coaching program first, because there's less going on in a coaching program. I do have my coaching program in premium. I don't have a standalone one. Lee and Bull do, and they teach their strategies in there. But I don't have a standalone coaching program yet. So it's just premium members and lifetime, unfortunately. And then once you're in coaching and you can build up your budget a little bit with that information, then you have premium there to help you make even more. And then lifetime is the next progression there. And that's where we deal with wealth management and the more in-depth stuff. So for today, I still have settled cash, right? I've still got my like $60 or something left over, and I'm not touching anything in the market, right? I think we've proven that we made our money. We're done. I'm up 3.48% for the day on a really crappy day in the market. Like these conditions were rough. It was not ideal. So I just had to pick and choose where I put my money. And then we had to kind of wait for the volume in 2 of the trades to come in and solidify the setup. So I'm just going to go ahead and update my spreadsheet. Nope, that's the wrong color. All right, so my goal today was to get up to 259.25. I'm at 264.92, and I do still have these fat BB shares open. I might just cut those today. I meant to yesterday, but I did not. So it's a whoopsie. But that's okay. All right, and then right here is 265.23. I'll have to do something about that. And that's just because, again, those shares are going to keep moving the overall portfolio value. So I'll just have to do that at the end of the day. I'll probably just update whatever the number is, like at 8:01, like I did yesterday. So yeah, I mean, we made, what was this? $9.22 for the day. I'm just going to update this 265.23. All right. So far, February is going okay, right? We hit our goal yesterday. We hit our goal today. That's all that matters. January went okay up until the point where I had that SPX. I was double exposed in SPX, and I had a literal emergency where I had to run away from my computer. Didn't get to put sell orders in place, and that burned me, and that's okay, right? I can always make it back. It's a very realistic scenario that a lot of traders will find themselves in, and I had to prioritize stuff that isn't, a small cash account. So unfortunately, life just got in the way there, but that's okay, right? We started back at 37.70. Now we're back up to 265. We made a $200 contribution on the first. So what is 65.23 minus 37.70 is $27.53. So I almost doubled that 37. Well, I got 60% of that. Now I put in 200 yesterday, which means that a good chunk of those profits, the like $7 of those profits, came from the full amount, the $200. The rest of that, the other $57 or whatever, came out of that 37 bucks. So, or sorry, no, yeah. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Wow. That's a good rate of return. Sorry, I had to do some math there in my head. So yeah, I mean, we've proven pretty consistently that we can make money using the very simple strategy here. I don't want anyone to make trading complicated, because that is not the way. You're not going to make your big money by chasing big profits, because it's just not consistent. The best way to make money in the market, in my opinion, is to lock in consistent profits that you can easily achieve, and then cut those losses nice and small like these, and just do that consistently. And in my opinion, right, because I can't legally tell you what to do, but if you're looking for something that works, that's what I do. That's what Jun does. That's what Elizabeth does. It's what the doctor does. It's what Matster does. It's what Snowflake does. It's what all the people that are seeing results have been doing. And the biggest part of that is not giving a damn about what something does after you're out, right? So let's say I cut my profit here at 228 on this one. I don't care that this is up to 243. I just don't. It doesn't mean anything. It's the same exact, risk exposure as something down here. I don't care about this stock. There's nothing for me to care about. I'm not in it. It doesn't matter. And the way that you want to approach the market, if you want consistency, is just to get in and out, and then just move on with your day. I always say it's like making your bed or brushing your teeth. If you stand there brushing your teeth for 4 hours every morning, expecting to see your progress and to make those teeth pearly white, the only thing that's going to happen is you're going to see a lot of red, you're going to waste a lot of time, and you're going to lose stuff, and it doesn't feel good. So just go in there, brush your teeth, and move on with your day. So with that said, I am done. I am walking away with settled cash. I don't want to just use it because I have it, especially in a day like this, and that's not a good habit to have anyway. So I'm going to end the live streams. I appreciate everyone watching there. I'll hang out with you guys here in Discord, but I'm going to end the live streams. Let me put the put that in there. All right, so I'm just putting a message on there, and then I'm going to end the live stream. Thank you all for watching on there. I'll hang out in Discord.